Black, white, freaking zombies. Is zombies a real thing in Duels? Well, you can play just about any tribe you want to, but probably the best one is zombies. That said, is that make it a really great deck? I'm very skeptical about that. I don't think it's the greatest deck that one can play, but it does have a lot of game. You can ladder with it, and if you like your zombies, you can have fun. Some of the cards are really self-explanatory. I'm going to go over the ones that aren't. I mean, obviously a card like this, Dread Wanderer, is just totally, you play that card. You just don't have many good zombies. So, there you go. But Festering Mummy, this is kind of a controversial one. This is a 1/1 4/1, and when it dies, something gets a counter. And I read this and I'm like, meh, meh. But then you play it a bit, and in the format, it is not a meh. It's actually pretty good. It's a lot better than a lot of things you can play. And there's a few reasons. One is that single black mana cost there in the upper right. 1 black. So when you look over your zombies, you have to think about not only is it what you get for the mana cost on its own, but what you get with your other zombie triggers. So 1 mana for a 1/1, put a -1/-1 counter on something, isn't that great? Some people might play a Scrap Heap Scrounger or a Smuggler's Copter instead. But when you say it's 1 mana to tap target artifact or creature, and 1 mana to gain a life and lose a life, and 1 mana to make another 2/2 zombie, or make this zombie bigger, or 1 mana and your Plague Belcher is a 5/4 and you gain 1, drain 1 when it comes into play, or 1 mana 2/2. You get the gist. On it goes. Like, it's a lot better than the sum of its parts, and just being 1 mana lets you play it off curve, because there's a lot of off curve stuff going on when you run all these ETB tapped lands. So that's probably the real controversial choice over there, is Festering Mummy. Another one is Shambling Ghoul, which is also very meh, a very, very meh card that you're just kind of, without vehicles it's better because you're not missing out on a crewing opportunity. And it's so vanilla, but again, you combine it with everything else and you get that synergistic tribal effect. Gisa's Bidding is also an extremely meh card that doesn't have the same synergies with Diregraph Colossus, but it does work with Wayward Servant, and it does work with Binding Mummy, so it gets the nod. But I scale 1 back, and I also run Gideon, ally of Zendikar, because he's Gideon and he's good with creatures. Lilliana's Mastery in there. We do have a copy of Never, but I find Anguished Unmaking mostly good for the instant speed. We don't want to play Grasp of Darkness. Our mana's already greedy, and we need all our black mana every turn. But we want to play some instant speed removal, because otherwise we have no interaction. So that's what we got. And that's my list right now. And let's take it out for battles. What have we got in the comments? I got some questions, maybe. Well, Kreider wants to remind Xbox players that there's only 1 deck list submitted so far for the tournament, so to get on it, I think people need more time, especially now with the sideboard. We now have an extra debate, an extra mental hurdle to go through, so I expect plenty of last-minute submissions as people just try to get their mind around what a sideboard is. Also, we've got question, CGB, will you play in the tournament? I plan to play. I'm sure I'll have something to submit by the 20th. So that's what I'm going with. But I have no idea what to put in a sideboard right now either. I wish we didn't have to submit sideboards till we made top 8. That would make me feel a lot better, and I think it would get people more invested in the tournament. That's my 2 cents, because if they're paying attention to what everybody else is playing and how they're doing, then they're thinking about what they'd sideboard if they might make top 8. But that's a whole different, I'm not in charge. That's a whole different thing. That's just my opinion, man. And everybody's got those. But yeah, I have no idea what I'd even do with a sideboard. I'll have to sit down and figure that out if I ever settle on a deck, which is hard enough for me. So when the timer runs this long on waiting to join the match, what usually happens is we get a battle with the AI that we can't concede quit out of. Let's see what happens. And, yep, replaced by AI. Jeff Glick. So I'll stay in this just for a minute, and if the opponent's deck seems like a starter deck, we'll just go find somebody else. But if they're playing good cards, I'm gonna hang with it. I know the odds are against it with low ranks, but you never know when people actually start climbing the ladder. Ooh, buddy, what's the play? I suppose Crypt Breaker, and then I can make a 2/2 next turn. I may even be able to discard this and get it back later. So it's less damage, but you're on the draw, so being total beatdown, meh. Crider's asking for opinions of sideboards in the chat. If you hear this later, I'm sure that you can go share those opinions on NGA, my YouTube. I can pass them along if you're so inclined. And we'll just make a 2/2 here. We've got too many lands. Harness Lightning coming in. I should have done that before. Now I get a 2/2 out of my deal. Lucky me. Playing a little too instant speedy. Didn't have to. Didn't have to. But hey, the AI's got Harness Lightning, so we've got a game right now. More instant speed removal, perhaps. There's a creature. Always happy to see more of those. Alright, get in there, Zombo. Do your work. Wow, 2 damage. Shall we go walk into a sweeper? I think with the Wanderer it's fine. And here's your grizzly bear army. Welcome to the stream, Snared. Nice to have you here. There's a card. That's a Hand-Weird Garrison, and I'm going to be grateful I have a removal spell up my sleeve. You die. You go away and never come back. This is an inhospitable place for you. And down to 12, but we're out of gas. We're flooding a bit. I guess we still have a return, so we can still make one more 2/2. I wonder if I'm supposed to just do that next turn. Depends what he plays. An Alms of the Vein. Interesting. So right now making a 2/2 is really only an Icy Manipulator effect to tap something, but it does put him on a 2-turn clock. 8, so 6 damage. Wait, no, it doesn't. 6 damage this turn, 8 damage next turn. So it doesn't change the clock. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it doesn't change the clock, so I'll leave it in the graveyard to tap a blocker should my opponent play a creature that I want to get through. What's your opinion on blue-black zombies versus white-black? Well, I've tried both, and I find white-black to be a lot more aggressive and a lot stronger. It feels more like a tribal deck to me. Blue-black feels complicated, bipolar. One game it's trying to do this, one game it's trying to do that. It's like if you're doing the Reanimator thing with Prize Amalgam and Advanced Stitchwing, that's a very different game plan. And so my opinion is that I think you want to be more aggressive with the tribe. I don't think that you can dirtle very much. There are decks that are much better at dirtling, and that's how blue-black feels to me. It also feels much more, I mean, this deck is reliant on rares, but blue-black feels really reliant on rares, even more reliant on rares. So that's part of the thing too. But those are just opinions, man. I'm sure you can excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sure that you can ladder with both of them and have a good time. Bedlam Reveler sets our opponent up with new cards, and a Harness Lightning is one of them. That's a problem. But we lose our Binding Mummy, so we can't do the tap down effect that we planned to do to get our final points through. Let's make some dorks, get our Festering Mummy out. And I believe that's whenever you cast. Yeah. Rats. So do we want to trade off our Diregraph Colossus for 2 damage? If we do, There's a decent chance we win next turn. I think I'll just present a lethal board to our opponent and make them figure out how to deal with it. I'll take the creature out of his graveyard since he showed us the necromantic summons. R.S. Jackson has shared the opinion that blue-black with Drakehaven and Haunted Dead and Cryptbreaker is fun, but black-white is much stronger. Yeah, in a sentence, I could get behind that. So there is Rolling Thunder. Not what I wanted to see. Ugh. So he found a way to kill 2 zombies. I was only banking on him finding a removal spell for 1. But that's what happens. Alright. So I'm going to attack with Dreadwander and Festering Mummy, and I think you'll see why in just a moment. Yep, I figured he'd block the Dreadwanderer. So now we can play Wayward Servant, make a 2/2, and now we can get back Dreadwanderer. And that will be a drain for 1. So a little sequencing trick there to get 1 more drain in, and in this game that could matter. Opponent passing turn, perhaps instant speed removal being signaled. We've got our land situation on lock. Let's turn them all sideways. Make them survive. Right now I just blocked the Diregraph, so he needs 3 removal spells to live. And he only has 2 cards, so maybe if one's a Twin Bolt. Yes, got there. So that turned out to be good, a decent game, kind of a red-black madness-y themed deck with lots of removal. So up next, we've got somebody with a key for a finger. And either some funky hair or face paint. Hanging out with a pretty cool volcano in the background, I might add. The Runes Merchant. Alright. Running the hundo stack. Well, fat stacks. Let's see if we've got a fat stack that can curve out, because this is a curve, baby. This is a pretty tight curve. 1, 2, 3, and kill your guy, make more creatures. Maybe I draw cards, maybe I run you over. Alright. We have recommendations from chat to make my own 100 card deck. I could try that, but then I'd have to turn in my Spike badge. So, like, I worked really hard to get my Spike merit badge, and I have to give it back if I ever do anything that's anything less than insanely spiky. So that's why I am the way I am. Let's bring the beats. These are the curves that this deck is made of. When you have some of the rares like Cryptbreaker and Dark Salvation to go with a Lord of the Accursed, that's when the deck is shiny. Twelve Tribesman asks, has anybody done all the achievements? Yes, Mobius has. Mobius, the Salt Lord himself, actually broke the game and achieved all achievements. So somebody has done it. At least a person that I know. Yep. He says that's the reason he doesn't play anymore, because all the achievements are done, so he has nothing to look forward to. Like, there's no motivation for him. I didn't realize how motivated he was by achievements. In fact, I didn't realize how motivated anybody else was by achievements. Back in my day, the video game was the achievement. Like having time to play a video game well is the achievement. Magic especially, like just playing well is the achievement. Oh, come on, I at least want to see him play a card. Don't quit without casting a spell. Come on, AI. Okay, Heliod's Pilgrim, that's the way it is. Alright, go get that Angelic Destiny. Why not? But now you don't have a creature. And, yeah, no time for cards, Dr. Jones. Just the beats. It's tough to tell what you should be killing. Crypt Breaker or Lord? It's a good question, sort of posed by the chat. I mean, it's rough. I guess it depends. Does your deck have sweepers? If you have sweepers, then you can just clean up Crypt Breaker later and hopefully you don't lose too much value, but the Lord is going to represent the most damage right now. Also, if you're applying pressure at all, Crypt Breaker is not as good because you pay life. So there's factors, but I think the Lord is probably the better target most of the time. It's really tough though. It does depend on the situation a lot. Meow. Menace. No Bloxies. Give him the rubbins. It's nice to play a bit of a aggro deck after playing control for a few days. I change my decks all the time and I test all kinds of things. So that's one thing that I think sets me apart, for better or worse, with the audience. I test a lot of cards, so people log in to see me play and they're like, hey, you didn't have that in your deck last time. And I'm like, yep, got me. I changed it. And I don't publish anything to say so. I'm just always working on stuff. So my decks, even though people always want the deck list, that's what I answer. That's what I respond to. Every day somebody wants to know the deck list. But it's not going to be the same list tomorrow. I'm going to try different things if I have an idea, or if I think of like the common cards that I play against in the format and a few changes could help, or I just want to know something. So I really tweak the decks almost every day. So all you folks out there asking for deck lists, I'll give you what I'm playing for this video, but the deck won't be the same tomorrow. And if it's any good at all, I'm always working on it. Do you have the Throne of God Pharaoh in your deck? No, I do not. Did you find that card to be good? I failed to find that card a good card. I could not make that card a good card. It's an amazing card for a 3-drop. I believe that costs 2. Throne of the God Pharaoh. I can see how it would work with Crypt Breaker. If I had 4 Crypt Breakers, I'd probably want to try one for sure. That way you're damaging them and drawing cards. You don't have to choose. Oh, choosing so hard. I love not having to choose. Green and black right now, and down comes rats. Well, they got the first zombie on the battlefield. Didn't see that coming. And we draw a land. All right, servant, get to work. We'll have to decide whether or not that's a push-worthy rat. I guess if we can't attack through it, we'll have to make a decision. Mortivore says tornadoes are forming on TV. Whereabouts are you where you're getting tornadoes today? I mean, it is the season, but I'm curious. Neon with a great recommendation. He says, get under the table and watch from there. Oklahoma. Oklahoma has tornadoes, ladies and gents. Hold on to your butts. Cultivator's Caravan. So our opponent's got things going on. The Skulk means I can't block that creature, nor do I really want to. And are we done? Or do we have something else to play? Bone Splinties. Wow. There goes the Savant. And land for turn. Ick. Icky, icky, icky. This is not very solid, so I think I have to make a play that I don't really like because it's not mana efficient, but I think I have to go like this. Once again, flooding a little. "24 lands does seem a bit, but you gotta be able to curve out or else you die sadly with cards in your hand. It's an awkward balance. It's a very awkward balance. And because we're two colors and trying to make white cards like Gideon work, we can't play Westvale Abbeys or Cradles, at least not without screwing up our mana. So that's a downside in the black-white version. Pilgrim's Eye for red mana and Aether Poisoner? I mean, okay. I guess I have to kill that. Pause? Pause? No? Just no pause. Thanks. Thank you, game. You're a real sport. Now that throws off my curve. Love it. Okay, what am I gonna do then? Maybe I just don't push that thing, because now it takes away from deploying awesome threats. Yep, send in this ghoul, trade it for his poisoner. It's a 2-drop for a 2-drop, to be fair. And he is down to 2 cards in hand. The lag is real on my end, y'all. It might be hard to make some instant speed interaction happen. Opponent deeply contemplating this block. Probably not sure if they want to trade a poisoner. Is that so if they run a 75 card stack, that's just, to me, that's a lack of commitment. If you're going to ignore the warnings that say that your deck is too big when you're exiting the deck builder, just go all the way. Especially, it looks like he's playing 4, maybe 5 colors. Just take it. Take it to the limit. Alright, no blocks. After running the timer completely down, which makes me wonder if they're AFK. Or lagging just as badly. And now we have the Wanderer, who we really need. Wanderer may have to grind our way through these blockers. Opponent at least has Jund. They have all the colors of the rainbow off this caravan, but at least we know they play some Jund. Running Rancid Rats, Bone Splinters, Aether Poisoner. Couldn't cut these from any of the decks. Just too good. And here comes a Cartouche of Ambition. That's a bit annoying. What's that going to target? Okay, interesting, going after the shambling ghoul. Do you have never/finish? That is not a card. There's never return and there's start to finish. Do you know which one you're talking about? Probably never to return, as that is the more zombie themed of the two. And I have one copy of that, but you can see the deck list by scrolling down. It should be below your viewer window. And another land. Fun. Trying to pass to combat. Let's frickin' go. Here we go. Laggy. Lagging. Alright. I guess I want to hold this push, but I'm like, I am terrified that my opponent is going to lag and I won't be able to kill this. So I'm just going to cast it now, which is not ideal. I would prefer to do it in combat, even if he made the 1/1. But I'm too concerned that my opponent, that I will not be able to cast anything on their turn because of lag, because that happened. Never to finish sounds like a card for a control deck, says Shard. That is a good one. I like that. Never to finish. Here come the Thopters. They'll get here someday. There they are. Alright, let's do the menace thing. Send him in. Much better than just, much better than attacking straight up, I think. I wouldn't want all three of his creatures to block my Lord of the Accursed anyway, so I wasn't going to attack with it, so we may as well use the menace ability. And if he's going to block the Wanderer, that's fine. We can't get back this turn because all we draw are lands, but in the near future, I'm sure we will as soon as we draw anything else. You gotta admire 3 colors or more running mana fixing like Pilgrim's Eye and Cultivator's Caravan. Still making room for those Foundry of the Consuls, those brown lands. It always works out for opponents, so when I criticize it I feel like an idiot, because it always works out for them. From across the table anyway. For me, I would always draw those Foundry of the Consuls when I needed another swamp. Which is why I try to be disciplined about playing them in decks that are 2 or 3 colors at all. And the timer is a-running. Here comes a Rex Sage. Important to know that our opponent can make the 5/5 with these 2 creatures. So if we give Menace, he can make the 5/5, but it can't block. So we probably still want to do the Menace thing, but it's important to know it only gives Menace to the zombies. So we don't want to attack with the Shambling Vent. And what do you know, more land. Alright, go Shambles. We've got Team Shambles over here, Shambling Ghoul and Shambling Vent, together at last. So we're at 9 lands, we're at 5 spells. Flood very real. Definitely a below par draw. which is making this game grind out a lot more than I'd like. All right, come on, buddy. Okay, I've determined this is unwatchable, so I'm just leaving. I cannot take any more. You did it. You made me tap out from boredom. Let's try to find something more fun. And I'm going to see if I can block that player. Yep, blocked. Now, to be totally clear, I'm not mad at them for taking their time. If that's a new player and he has to read the cards and figure out what to do, I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad at the opponent. But it's not a fair matchup. It's not a good matchup for you, the viewers. It's not a good matchup for him taking on a rank 40 who's been playing for 20 years. It's just not a good matchup. So I'm preventing that matchup from happening again in the future, and I'm sure that they would enjoy it as well. Question in chat is, how many personas do you have? What do you mean a persona? What's persona mean? Does it mean these things? Because if you mean these things, the answer is all of them. I don't know how many there are. We're going to need to top deck a land to make this good. But if we do, it could be real good. That's not a land. Maybe we drew all our lands last game. Let's fire off the Binding Mummy. I expect our opponent might play a creature to try to block with. We can start tapping the blockers. Our opponent is going with an Abbot of Carol Keep, which is unlikely to get value unless it flips a Bone Saw. Cradle of the Accursed already made their land drop, so nope. And here we go. Got a Crypt Breaker, but I think we'll be mana efficient and play the Ghoul. I don't foresee needing to Dark Salvation yet. There might be better creatures to target. And attack. Alright, your move, opponent. They run Abbot and Cradle of the Accursed, so black-red. Waiting to see what else they have. I think if you're on the opponent's side facing a Binding Mummy, unless you have a removal spell and plan to use it on the Binding Mummy, I think they should attack, because it's hard to expect to have the opportunity to block against a Binding Mummy. But they are going to hold back. And there is a Festering Mummy. That can certainly tap down the Abbot. And now, I think I only want to attack with Shambling Ghoul. Well, I guess if he's going to use a removal spell, It's tough. If he has a removal spell, the right move is to attack with both and make him play it first before he sees the Crypt Breaker. If he doesn't have a removal spell, we just attack with one and then use Crypt Breaker to draw cards. But I guess we can try to draw the damage out. So the most likely thing to get killed here is the Binding Mummy, so I will attack with the Binding Mummy, not the Shambling Ghoul. It also will discourage him from attacking with the Abbot. We could also try drawing a card right now. What's more important? I guess if I hit my land, particularly a tap land, I want it now. So I'm okay with taking damage. He didn't attack last turn. I think it's unlikely he'll attack me. So I'm going to draw my card now, just in case it's enter the battlefield tap land. Ta-da! Yay! If I had drawn that on my opponent's turn, I might have prevented 2 damage from attacking Abbott, but I would have had to wait another turn to cast my 3-drops. And my 3-drops are hot, yo. 3-drops are great. So there is, I believe, a Merciless Javelineer. Is that the name of this card? What's this card do? Discard a card. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. That creature can't block this turn. That has to die. What's the right way to kill it? I do not want my Crypt Breaker dying. So Dark Salvation's an obvious way, and I don't think I can go wrong with that play. It's just too frickin' good. So we'll get a zombie, we get a trigger, Binding Mummy will tap the Abbot. We can attack with Binding Mummy and Shambling Ghoul. We can draw a card with Crypt Breaker, Festering Mummy, and our new token. Pretty good. I do want to keep drawing cards. The only bottleneck on our game, the only thing that could keep us from winning is just to never draw enough lands to play out our spells. And we'll keep doing it on our turn, because who knows, could be another tap land. There are 6 of them in the deck. Haha, yeah, rewarded. That means next turn they get to meet the dream team, Gideon and a bunch of zombies. Archfiend of Ifnir. Ew. We better kill him. Can we kill him? Lord of the Accursed, tap your boy. Festering Mummy, tap your boy. Attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep. Easy peasy. I am indeed a wizard. That's why I play Magic. I am a wizard when I play this. And now you know block sees, I attack sees. Ta-da! Zombies doing zombie things. All right, let's, I guess, try one more game. One more. One last run around the block. Jason, the Wasteland, what have you brought to us? Jace-like looking thing in the Wasteland. Jace-ish dude on the red eye. Dubious Stivil. Evil? I don't know. He's a little over that 60. Nothing to get upset about. He's mulliganing like a fiend, though. And, yeah, we'll keep our hand, because it's great. What more can I say? And I guess, we'll just get our stuff on the board. Hopefully it's not right into a fatal push. That would be sad. One of the interesting problems with Shambling Ghoul coming into the battlefield tapped is using it with Crypt Breaker's abilities, so we'll want to play these. Probably before the binding mummy, which is kind of weird, but all good. We'll figure things out. Not gonna worry about that vampire just yet. Not gonna offer a trade either. But Child of Night, the mascot of the Xbox meta, is here. The true representer. Ah, boo! That's not cool. There goes all our fun, and we only get 2 of those in the deck. For goodness sakes! All the fun gone. Lord of the Accursed, cool. We'll put out the other shambles, and we'll just hold this one back, as letting him hit us for 2 and then gain 2 is just completely nullifies our attack. That's when you face a lifelinker, you have to deal more damage than the lifelinker deals with the backswing, or else you're not even making a good trade. In fact, you have to deal twice as much, or else you're falling behind. And a funky. Well, that's a death toucher. But we can tap it, so that will be my plan anyway. We'll play this first. We'll play Lord second. Tap that thing. Maybe we'll push the other thing. So our opponents built their board on curve with us, which means this time we have to overpower them. And Lords are great for that. Removal spells. We can take out their best creatures. Binding Mummy is great for getting damage through. Here's an Alms of the Vein. So we've fallen behind, but I'm more than happy to see that card. It'll make catching up pretty easy. We'll push this now. Our Lord will tap down his Marauder, and there's a draw. Ooh, I like you. And now we get in there for 9, so we're swinging things back at a very quick pace to our advantage. We also have probably the best card you can draw every game with Dark Salvation. And Mastery's no slouch either if we get to cast it. Oh, never mind. You suck, dude. You suck. Why? Why? Don't do it. No! No! Ugh. 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 I can't. Ouch. Every time you go away, you take a piece of me with you. But fortunately, we're still just so far ahead on board. If our opponent has a languish here, now we have something to talk about. So let's see what happens. Boom. You're at 5. Languish or bust. We still, in theory, have him beat before everybody overreacts. But whoa, some cheap creatures. Is that enough to keep him alive? No, we still have him beat. He's still beat. That's the thing about discard spells. Like, discard spells don't fix the problems on the board. And they don't fix what the opponent can draw off the top of their deck either. So we'll give all our zombies menace. That means he can only block one of them. He's going to take at least 9 damage no matter what. So, dead, dead, dead. Our opponent's dead. We're going to try some creative blocking that doesn't play by the rules of Magic, which is my zombies have menace. Yep, still trying. Working it out. Putting things in front of stuff. Stuff in front of things. Well, I'm going to scoop. We already are over the gold cap, so we can let our opponent have the gold. We don't need to win. We know we had a lethal attack. So let's give our opponent some gold, and they can go figure out menace. And we can know that our zombies are doing God's work. As much of God's work as zombies do. All right. hope you've enjoyed this quick romping around the Xbox meadow with black-white zombies. From today's experience, I don't think there's anything I would change. Yeah, I can't think of anything I'd change. I like it where it is at the moment. Of course, that I could fidget overnight, you never know. But right now, everything feels juicy. Alright, thanks for coming out today. I will be back another time to see you later. And, yeah. Have a good one, everyone. Going to see Alien Covenant tomorrow. May find some time to stream as well. We'll see. But that's it for me today. Later, all.